saya juga ingin mengundang anak muda mengunjungi Philippines.
Inshallah.
My topic adalah tentang populisme. Ini akan mempengaruhi negara kita. Hal ini dapat mengakibatkan konflik, economic decline, and other problems. We will discuss this populism in Southeast Asia. Research assistant, Ms. Janine, please stand up. This is research assistant for Philippine. These are the topics of the discussion. And I will just explain to you that populism has resulted to many problems in Southeast Asia. And the reason why we have populism is number one, you have globalization. We all thought that globalization will be good for us, but globalization created more poverty in Southeast Asia. People who are not good at technology, they cannot adapt with globalization. Another reason why we have this populism is because of this neoliberal market from America and Western Europe. They have promoted the idea that capitalism is the way of wealth. But we found out that capitalism actually created more hunger, more poverty, and more problem to societies in Southeast Asia. Another problem is climate change. Like your country, the Philippines has about 60% of our population living in coastal areas of waterways. We have more than 25 typhoons every year, and most Filipinos experience typhoons. Their houses get destroyed, and we lose lots of properties and resources. So climate change is considered as one of the reasons why populism became very, very popular in Southeast Asia. Another issue in my country, and I also read it, that this is also an issue in Indonesia, is China's claims in the South China Sea. South China Sea is very important to Southeast Asia because it has lots of fish stocks as well as natural gas deposits and oil. And China is already claiming large portions of South China Sea. And finally, we are experiencing food security problems in many parts of Southeast Asia because of the pandemic and also the disruption in the global supply chain. Next slide. So these are some of the concerns right now in many parts of Southeast Asia. I told some of my fellow professors and lecturers in Brandan and Tanampu that the price of an ordinary in the Philippines, if the price in Indonesia is just 60 pesos, or more or less about $12,000 rupiah, in the Philippines, the price of an ordinary meal from 60 pesos is 200 pesos. And because we are experiencing inflation, our gasoline prices are also very, very high compared to Indonesia. You are blessed because your prices here are not high. Food, gasoline, and other commodities. Next slide. So these are the research questions we put in journals. For students, when you come up with journals, you have to craft and formulate your research questions. And the research questions here are very, very basic. We want to know why there is a rising popularity in populism and how did many countries like the Philippines, Thailand, Malaysia, and Indonesia attempted to cope up or attempted to respond to populism. Next slide. We are also going to look at a political governance model that would solve the problem of populism. This is the definition of populism. I will explain it. And maybe, Erica, you can also explain it in Bahasa. Populism is when politicians will use popular policies even if they may not be good to society to promote their interests and be elected in office. That's one. They will promote policies that will make them popular or get elected in office. To the point that they will create conflicts between members of society. Can you explain what populism is to our students?
Ya, populasi itu dalam sampai satu titik memberikan efek yang begitu negatif, terutama ketika secara politik para penguasa politik itu kemudian merasa bahwa populasi itu menjadi suatu strength, suatu kekuatan untuk mereka, untuk mereka bisa meng-create populasi tersebut sehingga menjadi pemilih atau orang-orang yang memilih mereka pada pemilihan penguasa politik itu mereka mampu untuk kemudian membuat atau meng-create sebuah konflik yang membuat populasi di situ itu menjadi terpecah.
And this is very dangerous for our society because we are going to fight one another. This is what is happening in America, where you have Donald Trump creating divisions in your society. This is what is happening also previously in Brazil through President Bolsonaro. So there are populist leaders who will use us, make us fight because they want to be elected. And in the 1930s, Adolf Hitler used that, populism, and they committed so much problems, genocide, to be able to remain in office. And because our societies right now are experiencing global problems like climate change, food, water, and energy crisis, there will be populist leaders who will trick voters so that they elect them, and they will use their office to abuse it and to sow conflict in society. Will they be able to understand?
Sejarah itu sudah menunjukkan bahwa banyak pemimpin politik itu yang menggunakan pola untuk memecah belah populasi yang ada di negara itu. Tadi sudah disebutkan beliau, Trump, kemudian Presiden Brazil, bahkan Amerika itu sudah merencanakan dalam sejarah cara mereka, trik mereka untuk bagaimana supaya mereka berkuasa, bagaimana mereka tetap mendapatkan dukungan politik, dukungan dari populasi tersebut.
Okay. And I'm also very happy that the previous speakers talk about humanity, humanitarian values. These are the things that we have to develop because rather than differences in Southeast Asia, there are so many similarities between us in Southeast Asia. Islam is a good religion because it promotes humanitarian values. Let's clap on that.
Tapi ada batnya.
These are just definitions of the different type of populism that has been used. The communists have used populism to promote their own political agenda. Right-wing political parties in Latin America and the United States have promoted populism. But what people are doing right now are political populism. where they are going to say anything that the people want to hear, even if they're not good for society, just to be elected. And that is really a threat to the future of Southeast Asia. And that is what we call political populism. Political populism. Would they be political populism?
Ya, ada tiga jenis hasil dari penelitian beliau yang sudah jenis politik yang dipakai oleh negara-negara, ada sayap kanan dan sayap kiri yang sudah dipakai. Sayap kanan sangat mencontohkan beliau yang Argentina oleh negara lain. Tapi kemudian yang berkembang saat ini adalah political populism, politik yang berdasarkan sama populasi, di mana kemudian orang-orang yang dirasa tidak cukup baik pun oleh masyarakat itu tetap bisa terpilih, dan itu membahayakan
What a populist leader will do is to blame other people rather than coming up with a common solution. They will blame ethnic groups in society to promote conflict so that they get elected. This is what is happening in different parts of the globe. And for young people, you must be conscious and aware of the threats of populism. Okay, next slide. Erica, you want to see? No. Examples of how populist leaders in the past were able to use popular slogans and policies to convince others. Okay? In the past, you have also President Sukarno using populist policies. Ferdinand Marcos of the Philippines using populist policies. And also Narendra Modi of India. These are what we call populist leaders. Populist leaders can do good things if they promote cooperation, if they promote harmony in society. But they can create problems if they promote conflict in society. So there's no problem if you want to be a populist leader. But the point is, you cannot lie. You cannot use people against each other. So that is the concept of a populist leader. Next slide. Next. Okay, these are definitions of populist. Okay? And one definition is the populist leader would say, I am for the people. And those elite, those rich families are against the people. And he will come up with policies to promote the poor, the marginalized, at the expense of the entire society. And that is the danger, because you are spending government money to the point that there is no money anymore in the national treasury. This is what happened in Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka populist leaders, Rajapaksa, convinced people that the money should be for you, to the point that there was no money in the national treasury.
Ya, pemimpin-pemimpin yang populis seperti Presiden Soekarno dan beberapa contoh dari beliau tadi itu salah satu contoh dari gaya kepemimpinan populis. Menurut Prof.DrLloyd, bahwa populis itu masih oke untuk dipilih, tapi bagaimana kita kemudian cerdas supaya tidak digunakan oleh cara-cara politik populis tersebut. Salah satunya di sini beliau mencontohkan bahwa pemimpin-pemimpin populis itu contoh untuk membuat membuat dua kelompok yang saling beradu, yaitu di sini pihak-pihak yang lemah, yang miskin dengan pihak-pihak yang korup. Mereka akan contoh untuk memunculkan dua sisi atau dua divisi atau dua bagian yang membuat populisme atau populasi dari masyarakat itu terpecah.
Next slide. Our methodology that we use is comparative case study. And I asking the help of Dr. Andy, Dr. Tim, the Dean, to do a survey. So we're going to do a survey in addition to a comparative case study across 4 countries: Indonesia, Thailand, Malaysia, and also the Philippines. We will do a survey as well. Next. These are some data that we have comparing the Philippines, Indonesia, Malaysia, and Thailand with respect to population, population growth, population density. We will see here that the land space of Indonesia is the biggest, 1.9 million square kilometers. Compared to the Philippines, 300,000, Malaysia, 330, and then Thailand. The problem with the Philippines is because we have the highest population density of 368 square kilometers. And our population growth is also 1.89 in the urban population. In terms of poverty, the Philippines is one of the highest, 16.7% of our population. So they're able to understand this? Yeah, okay. Next slide.
Hello.
These are the economic indicators. So you have GDP per capita. The highest GDP per capita is Malaysia at $11,260 per capita. And this is followed by Thailand at $7,070 per capita, and then Indonesia, and then the Philippines. I'm happy that Indonesia has the highest share of agriculture, forestry, and fishing. 13.7% of the economy is in agriculture, which is very important in food security. The problem in the Philippines is that more than 50% of our economy is in the services sector, which had problems during the pandemic. Okay, so we have problems. Okay, next slide. What were our findings? And just to explain to you some of our findings, these findings were taken from literatures, and we want to know issues that saw some problems in terms of liberal democracy in each of this country, and how they responded and reacted with populism, and what would be the ways forward when it comes to populism. Next slide. Okay. For Indonesia, there's always a threat for populism, and Indonesia is one of the more tolerant Islamic countries. Very, very good economy. There's so much future for Indonesia, but the threat of populism is there because there are Islamic militants who want to get elected also, and they will use it to get elected. So the situation in Indonesia is that its economy is going to grow in the years to come, but it has to be careful with some elements in society that would use populism. Let's go to the next slide. Thailand. Thailand right now is ruled by the military. There is a conflict between the red and the yellow shirts. The monarchy, the king has passed away, and the son replaced the king. And the son is not that popular compared to the king. So the military rulers right now are controlling Thailand, and we are awaiting for a new set of elections so that the new leaders will be voted. Next slide. Malaysia, I think you've heard about their former prime minister who was charged in court and now is going to go to prison. There are coalition forces that are working towards ensuring that the former prime minister Razak will go to prison. And there are problems also in their political situation. There might be some political problems case of the Philippines, we elected Ferdinand Marcos, who was the son of Ferdinand Marcos Sr., who, like Suharto, ruled the Philippines for almost 16 years. Suharto ruled Indonesia more than 20 years. So the father who passed away, the son replaced the father. And the son is considered very, very popular. And he has been in office for 6 months. So we haven't seen if he's going to be a populist leader. But he's very, very concerned with our food security problem, energy security problem. And he also attended the ASEAN conference recently. Okay? Next slide. So there would be people, young people like you, who will oppose populism. And it's important for young people like you to understand what populism is, because you need to communicate to voters and the public the threat of populism.
Ya, masih banyak negara-negara Asia yang menggunakan cara-cara seperti yang ada di layar untuk mencegah populasi yang ada, masyarakat yang ada, dan itu digunakan untuk kepentingan si pemilik politik.
Next slide. So what is the solution? How do we solve this problem? The solution lies on strengthening Southeast Asian brotherhood through regional community and integration. That is the solution right now. If we Southeast Asian countries like the Philippines, Thailand, Malaysia, Singapore, and Indonesia, and also Cambodia, Vietnam, Laos, and Myanmar also, we will cooperate economically. We can defeat populism, because populism becomes successful during economic crisis. When there are food scarcity, energy scarcity, populist leaders will take advantage of the economic recession to be able to sow conflict between members of society. That's why we need to help one another regionally. We need to cooperate. We need to supply and trade with each other to be able to defeat populism. Could you explain?
Ya, menurut Prof.DrLloyd, hasil dari penelitian beliau itu yang perlu dilakukan adalah kerjasama dengan negara-negara seperti ini. Dia mengatakan bahwa yang terjadi di Asia Tenggara ini, pemimpin-pemimpin itu hadir sebagai pemimpin yang populis, dan mereka tumbuh justru pada daerah yang terjadi krisis dengan cara menggunakan cara-cara untuk memecah populasi yang ada dengan membuat isu-isu yang membuat kedua berbagai pihak itu saling beradu. Nah, menurut beliau caranya adalah bagaimana negara-negara di Asia Tenggara itu untuk bersama-sama menguatkan lagi melalui program-program konsolidasi terutama di ASEAN.
One of the agreements in ASEAN, which Ms. Janine explained to me, is called non-interference. Countries cannot interfere with the domestic situation of each country. As ASEAN community, we should review that clause, that non-interference, because that clause, the non-interference, is being abused by some member states to do what? To repress their people, to censor media, to marginalize certain ethnic groups. So we need to study that, because to be able to address many global problems like climate change, food scarcity, energy problems, we need to help one another. And as neighbors, we would never consider non-interference as a barrier to help one another. If you see that your neighbor's house is burning, you cannot say, I cannot interfere. You have to interfere, because based on humanitarian values, we have to help one another.
salah satu poin yang beliau dan Mas Jenny dapatkan dari poin ASEAN itu adalah bahwa negara-negara ASEAN itu tidak bisa mengintervensi kondisi domestik di dalam negara yang lain. Tapi menurut beliau dan Mas Jenny bahwa poin tersebut itu perlu untuk direview kembali karena bagaimana seandainya negara tetangga kita itu mengalami hal-hal yang secara politik itu merugikan bangsanya, contohnya termarginalisasikan, ada yang mendapat tekanan dari pemimpinnya pada saat itu, kemudian adanya sensor media. Menurut beliau bahwa poin tersebut perlu direview kembali bahwa secara humanis negara tetangga atau kita yang berada di koloni ASEAN ini itu harus membantu, saling membantu.
Thank you. I think this is going to be the last slide. Last slide. Next slide. Okay, so this is the new political economic model that we are proposing. Stronger regional community integration, economically, socially, culturally. And last slide, our conclusion. Next slide. The survival of our democracy in Indonesia, Philippines, Malaysia depends on us working together to defeat populism. Populism will continue to be a threat because it's going to make us fight one another, which is against Islam, right? Against our humanitarian values. That is our conclusion in this presentation. Next slide.
Terima kasih.
Siswa bilang pintar dan